So what are big news stories? Is a Vietnam fighter pilot that was shot down 52 years ago and his remains brought back home, is that really newsworthy? No. Violent video games, gun restrictions, and other stupidity is what's newsworthy.
Hey guys, what's going on? Today, I want to talk about the ridiculous and what's been going on. Everything from the aftermath of what the shooters have done between El Paso and Dayton and everything else that has happened in between, and the ridiculous responses that are coming not only from politicians but from companies. So you had the terrible events in El Paso, and the man was connected with I guess it was white supremacy through some kind of manifesto, and regardless of the fact of whether he was or not, you know, they talked about that for a while, and it was in the news constantly. But now they're crying that, oh, they stopped talking about it, and they're marginalizing the people that were killed over it. Nobody's marginalizing nobody. Just because the left can't get the narrative pushed every single day and beat you over the head with it, all of a sudden it's marginalized and it's being swept under the rug. Really? Because I seem to recall that they cried racism and white supremacy when they first heard about the Dayton shooter, but after it was found out that he had sympathetic feelings at the very least towards the left and Antifa, all of a sudden they didn't want to talk about it anymore. And just like all the gang violence that happened in Chicago, where there was actually no legal guns used in all those murders, they don't want to talk about that either, because that doesn't push their narrative. And what do they want? They are actually taking it to the Senate floor, and they are looking for gun bans and gun restrictions and new gun laws passed. Because this is what they want to do. They just want to push their narrative. Push it forward because it's all about people who own guns. And then you have corporations like Walmart. And Walmart strips all video game posters that may have anything to do with guns or warfare. And they strip games off their shelves. And then they try to come out, oh, well, we didn't authorize nothing like this. Yet you see video after video showing Walmart stores with no video games on their shelves. And everything is stripped bare except for sports and like G-rated type children's games. But there's no narrative being pushed, right? Walmart, you big freaking hypocrites. You're the same people who push these slave-driving factories overseas with little kids working there, and you work them to death. Yet you are worried about video games being too violent and that you can't be associated. Really? You bunch of freaking hypocrites? Really? Seriously? You're ridiculous. And now the Democrats not only want to push for gun restrictions and gun bans, and they're moving to the Senate floor with it, but they're also carrying out their investigations for impeachment for Trump now. Now, I could care less. Maybe Trump deserves it. I don't know, and I could care less. Let these politicians fight amongst themselves, because they're all useless in the end anyway. You get a few politicians actually stand up, and they actually will try to fight for Americans' rights. I mean, I thought it was very funny, and why I personally never thought of anything good about the guy. I thought it was pretty hilarious that it was a Republican, Ted Cruz, who actually was fighting against Google and YouTube about their suppression of free speech. I find that very funny. Very funny indeed. Where were all the Republicans? Where were all the other Republicans at? Where were they for that? And for that matter, where were these Democrats at? They claim they're for the people, but yet they sit there and they shit all over the First and the Second Amendment. Because they don't care. They don't care about your rights. They want to control you. They want that 1984 utopia where they are in control and nobody can say or do anything that does not fit their narrative. it's going to a crazy place. And if more people don't stand up and say something about this, if more people don't take an active role in voicing their opinions and saying, no, this isn't right, it's going to continue down this slippery slope. And then everybody's going to be wondering, well, what happened? Where are my rights? How did this happen? It happened because you stuck your head in the sand and you ignored it. You ignored the warning signs. You sat there like a bunch of sheep. Stupidity is something that I can't stand. And it's something that is in clear abundance. And not only this newer generation of kids, but the ones before that who are afraid to say anything. They're scared to say boo because they're going to be called names. They're going to be ostracized. Well, you know what? If you're not willing to stand up and take that chance, you're just going to be like everybody else that gets steamrolled over by new policies that strip away your rights. And you will have nobody to blame but yourselves. Later, y'all. Talk to you again.